Hello, folks. How you all doing today? Now, I was sitting here thinking, you know, political correctness is a real problem, no doubt about it. The degeneration of our morality in the West, down to pretty much the level of circus animals, that's a problem. The destruction of the family, that's a problem. The atomization of everyone from everyone else, that's a problem. Does anybody disagree with any of this? The fact that the nominal right, which is supposed to represent the historical majority, essentially Euro-white people in the West, are cucks and sellouts, that's a problem. The fact that we have a leftist political party that openly, in our own lands, is calling for our replacement and the destruction of our values to our face, this is a problem. But it seems to me that the most critical problem is the source of funding for the other problems. You see, feminism didn't just come from thin air. It required funding, academic backing, media backing, and a lot of money to pay for its organizations, okay? Because if anyone knows anything, they know that organizations that back projects don't just come up out of the ground. They require cash. You know, who, what, where, the money. Now, people often ask me why I'm so worried about who creates the money and how. Well, it should be apparent at this point after I've explained all of this, because if, let's just say I'm the banker, okay, and I can make all the money I want, whatever pet projects I have will get funded, and whatever peeves I don't like won't. Correct? Is that not correct? Thus, it would seem sensible to ensure that those who both control the volume and the value of the currency, of the money, of the credit, of the savings, of the wealth in a society, because all of that's tied together, it would seem that those who controlled all of that should, smart people would pick individuals or groups of people who were loyal to them, and they would ensure that the process was, 1, transparent, 2, honest, and 3, work to their general advantage. Does any of this sound crazy so far? Do I sound like a loon yet? Now, if people who believe in Western traditional society and who want to keep our majority were able to create, find, manufacture our own credit engine, such as the internationalists who control the left and the right have, then we would have a stable base from which to operate, from which to organize, from which to spread our message of love for our own kind, of love for our own traditions, of love for our own ways. Okay? Now, a lot of people will say to me, but we can't have any such way like this. There is no such way, etc., etc., etc. Well, this isn't strictly speaking true. In America particularly, but in the Anglo world and in most of Western Europe, there is a concept called a credit union. A credit union essentially is a poor man's bank. Now just please sit down and bear with me. What happens essentially is a lot of poorer people who own small shops and have wage jobs band together their wages and their savings, and they pool that as capital. And then they loan it out at very low interest rates to help those like themselves succeed, but on business-based principles, okay? Okay. Now, you need approximately 5,000 people or a large section of any given population's area, in an area, okay? In North America, there are some 3,000 rural counties that have about 10,000 people in them. If you could get 2,000 people in each of those counties on board, at least half of those would qualify for the act. So this would be 1,000 credit unions that nationalists could have in the middle of nowhere on land that the system has forsaken and sees as no value, that could be reinvigorated through recapitalization. Okay. Now this would give these nationalists a base both in the population, in economics, social base, administrative expertise, and all of it's legitimate. Now, from this credit union type of base, also there is another concept in the Anglo-speaking world called the Mutual Benefit Corporation, and there are all kinds of them that do all sorts of things for all sorts of purposes. But the basic idea is that groups of people band together so that all act to each other's defense and offense. They act as a protective shield. They act as one. You know, it's based on the idea, all of this is based on the idea that 1 man, 5 men, 50 men are relatively easily taken care of in a certain sense. But when we start talking about 500 men over 2,000 counties spread out who are doing nothing illegal, who are building, who are being productive, who are showing a good face, and who are bringing others on board with a message of hope, of love, and concern for our own people, our own ways, and simply ignoring these PC people, because like the Roman Babylonian Empire before, these PC people are going to come crashing to the earth, and I intend to simply rebuild from the rubble and wipe their memory from human existence. Okay. Yes, they will simply, what? Was there ever a time when PC existed? When? You know. Now, that's what I say. That's why I concern myself with the credit so much, you see. Because if poorer people, or what you might call the nation, really, the actual people in the West, had the control of where this money was spent, we wouldn't have this banker debacle, and we wouldn't have all of this insanity, because common people want real things done. Economic building stuff they want done is infrastructure growth. Roads, power lines, water, sewer, all these things that need to be basically rebuilt in America because they're falling apart. And if we simply, as a nation, issued the credit to do this and built this, not only would we grow our economy, but we would put these people, all of these people now that are sort of demoralized, to work, and give them a sense of pride, a sense of belonging to a greater whole, a sense of having a purpose, you know. And frankly, that oneness, that community, is more important than any dollars and cents in the end. Because you see, as long as the people, the group of you know, the community, are producing goods and services and producing enough that they can eat, be housed, and be clothed, they're economically successful, regardless of what the numbers say. The numbers are usually a trick so that the communities can be robbed by the international gangsters that like to call themselves bankers. Now, again, that's why I fixate on the money. It's not because I'm greedy. It's not because I'm selfish. I don't want control of the bank. Ooh. No, I don't even want to be rich in the new system. In fact, I would be perfectly happy living at the exact income level I have now, you know. And if all things that my failings may be, I do love the traditions of my people. That's why I'm here, you know. And that's why I want, like Andy Jackson, to take the power of money creation from these disloyal people, from these corrupt bankers, who, I might add, pay for everything. I mean, you know, the academia, the media, the degeneracy. You see all these children's sex pageants, and what the hell? Now, that's all paid for by that money. If we take that power from them, they can't fund that anymore, and that dies on the vine while we grow from the root. Do you see? You see how that is? That's why I fixate on this, folks. Some people even have it in their mind I'm a communist. I don't know. If this is communism, I suppose I am. This is what I would like to see for each and every one of you who's a man over 18 years old. I'd like to see you have some amount of land, say a quarter-acre plot, a house big enough to have you and say 5 children in it, a job that would pay you enough so that you could buy the food, clothing, and medical care for those children. See the children grow up and see them get the same thing you had in return. Now, if that's communism, I mean, right? I must have a big red star or something. But, I could have swore that a guy named, Thomas Jefferson basically had this idea in his head when he cooked up these acts called the Northwest Ordinances that made the states of Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and basically divided them up this way and kept out the land speculators and let in the real people. And that's why those areas are filled with people like this now, see? And those great communists in history, like Thomas Jefferson, see? So, no, I'm no more a communist than Andy Jackson, who understood that you cannot allow people disloyal to you to control something so fundamental to your life as your money. You can't do it. Or your life will be at the whim of people who have no loyalty to you. Now, y'all take care now. Have a nice day.